We are going live. Mic test. Good morning. Happy Saturday, gladiators in suits. I hope you're all having a great weekend because it's a 3 day weekend. It is, right? So it feels like it's just Friday and you got 2 more days to relax, to recharge. I had a very tiring Friday. So yesterday I spent 1 day, I did a 1 day workshop for DTCC. It's a US based company, financial institution, and it's a 1 day workshop. Usually, I get so tired doing 1 day workshops, super, super tired. But when I was going home and it was traffic all the way from Batangas to Taguig, and I realized, I don't think I'm as tired as I usually am for 1 day workshops. And the reason why I thought I was still in good shape, I think it's because that was a very amazing crowd. I always say that a speaker is only as good as his audience. And I will say, I'm not trying to patronize, I'm not trying to, suck up to the folks of DTCC, uh, but they really have very smart audience members who gave me a very challenging day. You know, when you throw something to them and they give you back, and it feels like a very intellectual banter, it felt like that for me. So thank you. If there's anyone who's listening from DTCC, I had such an amazing Friday. I think it's one of the most memorable 1 day workshops. We did a leadership workshop, by the way, for their managers. I think it's one of the most memorable leadership workshops I've had so far this year. So far this year. So thank you for that. Okay, let's do an attendance check while we're waiting for some folks to settle down. Anna says hello. Virgilio says also hello. Thank you for joining our session. You might be wondering, why am I doing this so early? I just felt doing it. I'm about to go out for brunch in a while, but because I think I'm in a good mood, I've had 9 hours of sleep. I was asleep by 11 p.m., I think, and had my cup of coffee. I'm having my third cup of coffee as I speak. So let's do this. We're going to be continuing our discussion last Thursday night, and our topic was about how do you handle rejections. And I'm talking about career related rejections. We're talking about rejections for job interview, rejections for promotion, rejections for a pitch, rejections for a project that you've been asking from your manager, for example, or being rejected in a meeting. You think that you have the most brilliant idea, but the audience and the participants in the meeting don't think it's good enough. How do you bounce back from that? How do you keep your grace? How do you manage relationships when you think that people have lost interest in you or have lost their trust in you, for example? Okay. Japs is asking on TikTok, is it a good decision to leave my post in BPO company to join a government post? It depends on what you want, Japs. If you're asking for better compensation, it will depend on what the government position is offering you. What I do know, however, is that government positions are very well known, that when you retire, the benefits are going to be amazing. So my question is, do you have a long-term plan? If you think you're still young and you think that the opportunities are going to be more available in other organizations, then perhaps the government position is not best for you. I'm also a believer that depending on the government agency, again and again, I'm stating my facts here. I'm stating my experiences. I do know that certain government agencies spend and invest on training of their employees, but a lot of them don't. So if you're moving to a government agency, try to look for one that is well known, or during your job interview, ask questions that include, how is the training investment for the employees? How often are people trained in terms of, public speaking, leadership? If ever there's a new software, how is the HR or the IT team in terms of assisting and supporting us. These things are going to be very important because when you're young, you want to absorb as much information as you can, okay? So that you can, further progress in your career. And if you can, be ready for the next promotion as well, okay? Ooh, I'm seeing folks now on Facebook as well, and people are typing their questions also. Could you please give us a like if you have just jumped into this discussion? We will appreciate that. A like, a heart. There you go. Thank you. We'd like to thank our folks from TikTok. We've now garnered 1,400 likes. Okay. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you guys yet to catch up on that part. Uh, Jomel Briones on TikTok. Okay, I love this question because it's right up my alley. How do you handle mental block during your presentations? One, I don't think that there's any substitute to practice. If you're going to deliver this presentation for the first time, the only way to gain more confidence and to make it feel that is naturally intrinsic part of you is to keep on practicing that presentation as many times as you can. Okay, that's one. Number two, don't memorize the words. Do not memorize the sentences that you're going to utter in the presentation. Memorize the essence. Remember that if you have a 20-minute presentation, what are the five things that I need to talk about? You don't need to memorize the sentence, just the five things. And then elaborate them during your presentation. Why is it bad to memorize words? Because the moment you forget the word, you start panicking. And when you panic, your entire set of senses get out of the way. Okay? Ooh, I love this. There's a troll on TikTok that says he's not even a CEO and giving an advice. Okay. I love these kinds of trolls because number one, before they even type, they have zero idea. Some people might say, John, ba't mo pinapatulan yan? I want to because I think it's important to always fight this information. And it's always important to fight back when someone says something bad about you. And you have to do it as early as you can. So this person on TikTok obviously does not know what I have accomplished and what I have done. And obviously, the reason why they're only typing this is because they have anonymity that gives them the advantage of not even knowing who they are and what they do in life. So when these things happen, be the higher person. Pray for them, be happy for them, and wish that they're not feeling pain. Because usually, when people say bad things to others, they are the ones who are also in pain. Can I get an exclamation mark if you guys agree with that? Interesting comments. Okay, let's uh, let's look at some more questions here. Oh, I like this remark from Rainbow from TikTok again says, "That's what I tell my students. Try not to memorize, but rather analyze and understand." I do think that Asians and Filipinos in general, because we are not native English speakers and we are required to speak in English, our tendency is to memorize. And sometimes we even memorize phrases and clauses that we get from TV series. I'll give you an example. I still hear this from some meetings. There are some people, whenever they try to say, correct me if I'm right, I'm going to let that sink in. Correct me if I'm right. I'm not sure if they have an idea that that is a wrong statement because you're supposed to say, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the reason why people say that still is because they were memorizing the phrase, and out of memorizing it, they tend to forget what exactly was the right word to use. They don't understand that correct me if I'm wrong refers to if I said something that needs to be modified, needs to be revised, please call me out. Okay, you guys have lots of questions, huh? Very good questions today. KRLRFLL says, how do you work on being persuasive and tenacious as a first time team leader? First and foremost, you do not become persuasive overnight. The only way for people to start believing in you and people to start seeing you as credible is for you to earn it. So more than anything else, if you become a team leader in your organization, you need to have that technical mastery of what you do. Because if I'm your direct report, let's say, for example, we're in marketing, you're my boss, and you don't think you're even creative, you don't know how to use TikTok, you don't know how to use Canva, and you keep on asking me to do these things, and you keep on calling me out for my mistakes, how can I respect you if I don't think that you know better than I do in terms of the technical mastery of what we ought to deliver? Okay? So for me, that's a non negotiable. I'm not asking you to be the best person in town. And perhaps you don't need to be 100 times better than I am, but at least have some proof in the pudding to show me that when you're asking me to do things, you also are aware of what you are talking about. Rather than having the convenience of just asking me to do X, Y, and Z because you are in the position to do so. Okay? My, by the way, my baby Tanjiro is sleeping beside me now, but he wants to be in front of the camera. So can I just show Tanji? Come on, let's be in front of the camera while we're waiting for some questions from the participants. We have lots on TikTok, by the way. We're gonna read them in a while, but let's do this. Oh, come here. Let's read a question. Help me read a question. He doesn't want to. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Tanjiro. I don't know. He suddenly got sleepy. Facebook folks, you can't see him because his face is down below, but I think TikTok folks can see him properly. Tanji, come on. Some people want to see you. Come on. We have to set a question for our participants. Come on. Come on. Help me. Help me select a question. Hi, everyone. Oh, okay. LinkedIn user. Let's answer this. Ask this question. Hi, John. What is the best way of handling an HR ghosting for a job seeker? Okay, two things. Number one, you need to have a mindset that ghosting, unfortunately, even if it's not a good thing, it is a normal activity that happens in the recruitment world. And the reason for that is because if you put yourselves into the shoes of an HR recruiter, you are aware that they have tons and tons, hundreds, sometimes for certain positions, thousands of applicants competing for the same position. So sometimes it becomes inefficient for them to contact each individual one by one and tell them that they didn't get the job. So I can understand why they will not tell you to move on. Okay. Number two, be on the lookout for certain statements. There are certain job positions that when they are displayed on Job Street on LinkedIn, it is clearly indicated in the advertisement that they will only notify successful candidates. It is also indicated in most displayed job advertisements that the deadline for submission is for this date. Usually, it will take 2 weeks or 1 month for them to be able to select the successful candidate afterwards, which means if you have not been notified a month later after the deadline of applications, I think it's safe to say that you have not been the successful candidate. Technically, does that mean that the recruiter has ghosted on you? Yes, because they did not notify you. But I think they're also being efficient about it. So they only limit the announcements to those that have been successful. Okay. Third, I'm going to add the third one. You will never feel bad about being ghosted by a recruiter if you put your eggs in different baskets. We had a discussion about this last time. And I said, when you're applying for a job, do not limit yourself to only one company and to one organization. Please take note of that. Applications are like a raffle. You have to put your eggs in different baskets. The more raffle entries you put out there, the higher chances of winning. So please spread yourself into 10, 15, or 20 applications. You know, when I was applying when I moved from Global to Smith Line, I applied for about 35. I dropped my resume to 35 applications. And it's interesting because when I got my next job, it wasn't because of a resume. It wasn't even because of an application. It was because of a referral from a friend who happened to have moved to that other company. So you see how fate may not always be on your side. And this is why you have to embrace the fact that it will take time and that not everyone is going to notify you. Okay? Lita Lit from Facebook says, Anjiro, you look like my dog Taro. That's a very cute name, by the way. Okay, let's look for some more questions. Okay, Helena Garcia is asking this in the chat box. John, question. This might be the opposite of your topic for today. Uh, how do you handle rejecting a career opportunity from a manager that you respect so much and even helped on honing your image? I might have done it wrong since our relationship was not the same anymore after I rejected her offer. Give me ideas that will work at the same time and will not tarnish my relationship with people. Okay, number one rule, when you are rejecting someone, please explain the why. Okay? Helena, I don't know you well. Perhaps you're smart enough to explain the why, but most often than not, people feel that they have been abandoned and that they have been betrayed when they are not satisfied with your explanation. And this involves taking the time to explain why. Explaining the why can also mean what are the consequences if you rather say yes. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone is borrowing money from me. Don't just ghost on the person and don't just, give them a scene zone on chats. Explain to them, Joanna, I wish I can lend you some money, but I'm also tight on my budget these days. Also, just to explain properly, if I lend you some money, I will not be able to spend for my kids who also need it for their upcoming tuition fee. So you see what I did there? Sometimes you have to illustrate to the person that if you give into their request, you also are going to be left alone. And sometimes when you help them appreciate that vividly, they will be able to understand. They will be able to also sympathize with you. Okay? Uh, Number three, when you reject, do not forget the concept of empathy. So, empathy meaning you're rejecting, and I know that it can be painful. So, please know that I am aware that this can cause you pain, and I feel sorry for that. Sometimes, when people feel hurt, they're not asking for you to compensate for the pain. What they're simply asking from you is to validate that the pain was caused. Can I get an exclamation mark if we can relate to that? I'm going to repeat. Sometimes when you have hurt someone, the person is getting back at you, not because they're asking for compensation. Compensation meaning, I want you, because you've done X, Y, and Z, I want you to give me money. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to do X, Y, and Z for me. Sometimes they're not asking for that. They don't care about that. Sometimes what they only want is for you to acknowledge, to explicitly state and say, sorry, I know that this has cost you to be X, Y, and Z. So in the case of Helena, probably Helena, this person who you said no to for their job offer was banking on you because you have been propped up and introduced to the rest of their company. They were so excited to have you, and she was saying so many good things about you. So perhaps their management team were rooting for her to finally get you on board. But when you said no, perhaps she got embarrassed because she had to say no to the management and say, oops, sorry guys, I was not able to get in this person, right? Oops. Another example could be maybe she had to reject other applicants just because she wants you to be the one to take the position. So the cost of rejecting other applicants is that she has to start all over again. And that wasted her time, that wasted her energy. Sometimes all you need to do when you're managing that rejection is to say, I'm very sorry. I know that this causes you a lot of inconvenience. I can just imagine right now that because of this, you have to start looking for new candidates again, etc., etc. When you acknowledge all these types of pain, it makes it easier for the person to swallow the apology. Okay? Because you acknowledge that this, talk is cheap. saying sorry is the easiest thing to do. But letting them know that you also feel the pain and that you sympathize with the pain that they're going through might just help. Okay, Helena, I hope I was able to answer that question. I wish that there was like a button because I love getting feedback. I wish that there was a button for people to press 1 to 5, 5 as the highest. How satisfied were you with my answer? It will help me improve. Or there's another button where the person can quickly state another follow up question in case they were not satisfied with my answer, also. Okay, but Helena says, thank you for the idea. I hope I was able to answer your question, Helena. Okay, let's look at some more questions. By the way, we're going to give away some prizes in the middle of the session. We're going to do that in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Can I get a letter P if you're up for prizes? We're going to give away tickets to our upcoming workshops at the SMX Convention Center in Fort BGC and SM Aura. That's going to happen on June 21 and also on June 24. We hope you get to join us. The tickets are available in our website. The ticket is worth 1,299 at jonathan.yabut.com. But for today, for our viewers, we're going to give away free tickets as well. Okay, let me answer a question from TikTok. I like this question because I feel that when I was younger, I was like this person and I feel bad about it. But I also see a lot of them even today. So, Joms from TikTok says, how do you handle a colleague who always thinks that he is the smartest guy in the room? Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate to this question? Guys, sorry, I'm just wearing shorts and shirt because it's a Saturday morning. Exclamation mark if you can relate to this. How do you handle a colleague who always thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room? Okay, number one, let's first dissect what are the attributes of this type of person. So likely this person's an extrovert because they love being in front of everyone. They love the energy. They want to be surrounded by others, and they also love sharing their ideas. Okay. Number two, people like this love getting acknowledgement and recognition from others. So their love language is words of affirmation. They want to be validated. They want people to explicitly state that, hey, that was a good idea. Hey, good job, etc. So, one, if you want to build a good relationship with this person, you can go for that route. As long as you're also a believer that their idea is a good idea. Okay. So this is just me saying that if you want to manage relationships, doing it through their love language can work. Number two, on the other hand, I can understand that I think when Joms asked this question, he was referring to people who can be very irritating and annoying to the point that they want to get the spotlight in every meeting. Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate to that? Yes? Agree? So here are some two tips. Number one, even if you are not presiding the meeting, what I would recommend is that right after that person shares their thoughts in a meeting, I will find a way to diffuse the attention to the other participants in a meeting. And I will say, so for example, if that person's name is Miguel, I will say, oh, Miguel, thank you for that idea. And then you throw the table, you throw the stage to the other members of the audience and say, "Ooh, on top of Miguel, can we ask? I would love to hear other thoughts from other participants. Anna, what do you think of Miguel's idea? Or Shara, what do you think should we do on X, Y, and Z? So this is important because you want to place the spotlight on the others and give chance for others to speak up, especially when they feel that the discussion is being dominated too much, that they become scared or intimidated to also speak up. Can I get an exclamation mark if we can relate to that? Yes. I find this very helpful because you also want to make Jom understand that the source of information and the source of learning isn't just going to be this person. You also want this person to know that we have other participants in the meeting and they are as equally important as sources of information. Okay. Number two, when a smart person, okay, by the way, can I just make a disclaimer here? I don't think that there's anything bad if there's someone in the room who always is very bibo, or in English we call them as the eager beaver. And the reason for that is because I'm a believer that I'd rather have someone who's a very eager beaver than a passive audience. I'd rather have someone who keeps on speaking up in a meeting rather having a meeting that is so dull that you end up doing a monologue. So what I would do is that I will take advantage of that person and try picking on their brains as a trigger and then diffuse that energy to the rest of the crowd so that he or she can infect that energy with the rest of the attendees. Okay? So it's not always going to be bad thing all the time. I think the only way that it will be bad is when this smart person becomes uh starts to mock others and starts to hurt other people's feelings by making them that they are inferior to them also. I love folks on TikTok. Blake Blake in the chat box says, "Oh, baka daw may kakilala kayo, 23 years old, 5'9", fresh graduate at civil engineer." Ayan. O sige, naging dating game na ang ating chat box. Oh, okay. I like this question as well. Sir, can you talk about Western superiority and how to handle it? Okay, three things. Number one, when we are born and the moment we get socialized in our environment, unfortunately, the Philippines being colonized by the West, it's going to be normal that all of us would have this sentiment that we always think that the Westerners are going to be superior to us. If you keep on watching a lot of Hollywood films, for example, you will start to think that they are better than us. And that's fine. I'm not going to blame you for that because that's just how the brain works. The more you get exposed to these types of media, the more you are made to believe. I'm going to use that phrase. The more you are made to believe that they have a better race, they have a better standards of living, and all these things. Number two, you also have to embrace the fact that the only person who's giving them permission to perceive them as superior to you is no one else but you. Can I get an exclamation mark? Again, I'm going to call out my favorite quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. The reason why you think that they are superior to you is because you let them be. They haven't even talked to you. And the moment you see them, you conjure images of what? They happen to be richer. They happen to have better standards of living. They happen to have a car. They happen to have a nicer house. And unfortunately, if you're the type of person who thinks that wealth and standards of living makes you better than others, you already lost the battle. If you don't think that way, you will not have that issue in the first place. Okay? Can I get an exclamation mark? If your mindset is that wealth, standards of living, being taller, having a more pointed nose makes you a better person such that they deserve to have the spotlight, they deserve to have better treatment from a waiter, they deserve to be upgraded automatically to a business class flight even if they didn't pay for it. If that is your mindset, then you've already lost the battle because you've already surrendered that this is normal for them. You have to let go of that mindset. You know, my favorite, okay, I'm going to give you a tool that works well for me whenever I get intimidated with someone. When I say someone, it could be my father sometimes, it could be my crush sometimes, it could be someone that I really adore. So, for example, I think I'm going to be a fanboying if I see Dr. Angela Duckworth, who is the proponent of grit, because I'm such a big fan of her work. All her psychological studies, her published work in journals, I've read so many of them. So I will get intimidated. But here's what I know that I will do. Imagine yourself as a camera and you're zooming out of planet Earth. Okay? You zoom out of Metro Manila, you see the map of the Philippines. You zoom out of the Philippines, you see Asia. You zoom out of Asia, you see the world, then you see the planet Earth. The more you zoom out, you see the solar system, and you get to realize that Jupiter is 20 or 30 times bigger than planet Earth. You zoom out again, and that becomes the solar system. You zoom out again, and you see the Milky Way, and you start realizing that there are billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of galaxies, to the point that you have now become so insignificant. Can I get a letter I if you can appreciate that? Why is this important? The more you realize that you're just a speck of dust to the point that you are irrelevant, the more you realize that is the same state that everyone in this world faces. You, in the context of the big universe, is as irrelevant as I am. And for that reason, that doesn't make you any superior to me. I will never give you the permission to make me feel that I'm less of a person, because at the end of the day, we are just specks of dust. And so if I need to speak up, and if I need to challenge your thoughts, if I need to say that you did something wrong, even if you come from a different nationality, I will say it because it's the right thing to do. And I don't want 10 years from now to live a life regretting that I did not call you out just because I felt smaller. Okay? A big part of it is in the mind. Please remember that. If you let someone make you feel inferior, that is going to be onto you. I'm going to hold you accountable to that because that is in your mind. I'll give you another trick. Expose yourself to as many. If your issue is that when you at work, you get intimidated when they come from a different nationality, you know what's the trick? Get exposed to many of them to the point that they become so normal to you. Talk to many of them on a daily basis. When someone is afraid of spiders, what psychiatrists do is that first onset, they show you a picture of the spider. Second, they show you a spider from afar, like 200 meters away. Third, they make you touch a picture of a spider. Fourth, they show a spider, a real live spider inside a cage. And then bit by bit, the exposure becomes so frequent until it becomes so normal and no longer dangerous for you. And you're no longer intimidated. The same thing also happens for being intimidated when talking to other nationalities. Okay? I hope that helps you. And please update me how you feel next time. And I hope you get better doing it. Okay, let's look at some more questions. Okay, let's answer this from LinkedIn. This is from Domingo Osabe. Hi, John. I am an inspiring HR with an experience in recruitment. I love the bold statement, by the way. Talagang you labeled yourself as an inspiring HR. Okay, I'll give that to you. I'm an inspiring HR professional with with experience in recruitment. How can I improve myself to politely inform the candidate that he or she is not accepted for the job, and somehow inspire them that rejection is not the end of their career? This falls under the art of wordsmithing. You have to choose the right set of words. So whenever, again, I'm going to repeat the template, the formula for rejecting someone is that you first appreciate their effort before you reject. I'm going to repeat, appreciate before you reject. This way, they will understand that even if they are rejected, not all of their efforts were wasted. It just so happened that it was a very competitive scene and not everyone can be accepted. So, in the first line of your statement, tell them, John, I appreciate that you took the time to attend this interview. I understand that your time is precious. I understand that there are many other organizations out there that are worth pursuing to apply for, and yet you chose our company. For that reason alone, we are very grateful. Unfortunately, the application for this specific position has been very competitive. And like any organization, we look out for the best talents out there to improve our teams. Unfortunately, you are not selected, and we wish you the best in your journey, etc., etc. Now, if you have time, which I doubt because most HR recruiters have so many things to write, if you do have time, however, you can explain to them 1 or 2 points that you think were reasons why they were not accepted. This is very important so that they know that in their next job interviews, they know how to avoid these mistakes as well. Remember, one of the hardest reasons why people cannot move on after they get rejected is because they did not get proper closure. Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate to that? So, for example, if your boyfriend or girlfriend just after 2 years ghosted on you, it's really going to be hard to move on. And the reason for that is because you did not know. You were blindsided. What exactly did I say or did I do that caused you to just leave me? So sometimes the most decent thing to do if you're rejecting someone from a romantic relationship is to explain to them. Okay? I think this one is a non-negotiable for, let's say, if you promised someone a promotion and they did not get it, I think you owe it to them. Don't apply the silent treatment approach. Don't let them guess it. Tell it to them because they are gonna gun for another attempt to get promoted again. For applications for jobs, ideally, if you do have time and if you're an amazing recruiter, you will take the time. But again, I've been saying this too many times. I want to put everyone into the shoes of a recruiter. There are just hundreds and thousands of people to talk to. I bet that you will not have enough time to explain that. Your job is not to give career counseling. Okay, I want to highlight this. Recruiters, while it is ideal for you to give as many career advice for those who got rejected, your ultimate primary job is not to give career counseling. Your ultimate job, your obligation to your company is to recruit individuals. Focus your time on that. The rest, if you're able to give career counseling, that's bonus points. So do not feel guilty if you skip on this part. Okay? These people will move on and need to move on at the end of the day. Okay, I think it's time to give away our prizes. Are you guys cool with that? Give me a letter P if you're up to answer our trivia question so we can give away tickets to our upcoming workshops at the SMX Convention Center in Fort BGC and SM Aura. There you go. Thank you. So June 21 and June 24, folks on TikTok, you're not seeing the same screen that I am showing on Facebook. So if you are wondering what the talks are about and what are the outlines of the workshops, you can go to our website, jonathan.yabut.com. All of our workshops on public speaking, business writing, leadership, motivation, and social media marketing are going to be displayed. I hope you do take the time if you're interested to attend. The ticket is worth 1,299 pesos. Okay? So, if you guys are ready, would you give me a category for today's session? Give me a category. Ano ba pwede? Um, can I ask anime? I think it's unfair because not everyone watches it eh. Sige. I shouldn't. Can I just ask, oh, some people, ayan, sabi ni Joms, oops, talo kami sa anime. I agree. So I shouldn't be. Mm, okay. O sige. Can I ask a question about business instead? Business is okay? Can I ask something about business? Okay. So this might take some people to type a longer statement to answer it, but that's good because I want to challenge that the winners should be able to deserve it well. Okay? So here is my question. In business, can I get an exclamation mark, by the way, if you guys are ready? Just want to warm up your fingers. Give me an exclamation mark if you're ready because I'm about to deliver the question now. Okay. In business, what difference or explain the difference between revenue and profit? Okay, this one's a basic, classic question. If you happen to be an entrepreneur or a commercial manager, you should have an idea what this is. What is the difference between a revenue and profit? I need to say this because sometimes people tend to confuse or wrongly use the terms. Okay? I'm starting to see some answers now. By the way, whoever wins, you get one ticket for yourself and for your plus one, and you get to have tickets for all the 5 sessions. 2 sessions on June 21, that's on a Wednesday. 2 sessions on June 24 on a Saturday. If you cannot attend the sessions, we're very happy that you get to transfer the tickets to someone else who can attend on your behalf. I'm also going to highlight, please take note that unfortunately, we cannot give tickets to those who are not in Metro Manila because you have to be eligible. In order for you to be eligible, you have to be physically on site in the workshop. Okay, let's look at some correct. I think I got some correct answers now. I'm going to be selecting one winner per platform, two winners for TikTok. Okay, so let's first look at Facebook. Okay, can I just ask who this LinkedIn user is? Unfortunately, you don't have a name. So please message me instead on private message on LinkedIn because I'm gonna call you as the winner. So LinkedIn user here says revenue is the income generated through business operations. Profit is income minus the expenses. Okay, that is correct. Can I just technically correct some parts of here? When you say income, in most business jargon, income is also synonymously used to interpret profit. Okay? So if it's gross, gross meaning what you earned out of selling the product or service, that's revenue. If it's revenue minus the expenses that you incurred for selling it, expenses meaning electricity, manpower, paper, raw materials, if that is deducted from the revenue, it becomes your profit. It also becomes your income. Okay. So thank you, LinkedIn user. I don't have your name, so please tell me, message me privately. Ayan. Okay, so that is Jason pala. Okay, I see it now. Jason Montaron. Congratulations on LinkedIn. Now, my winner for Facebook, I need a proper explanation, guys. Huh? So I'm looking at some answers. Okay. My winner on Facebook is Lulu Paco Garcia, and her answer is revenue is gross sales. Profit is your sales minus also your expenses. Simply put, that's a good way to explain it. Thank you. Lulu, please send a message. We're going to give you tickets to our upcoming workshop. Very good. Now, I'm going to be selecting a winner on TikTok. Let's select two winners. Wow, a lot of people are answering uh, TikTok. Thank you, pero nahihilo ako kasi ang daming sagot. So, let's look at this one. Okay, Tyrone Yi. This is a simpler way to explain it also. Tyrone Yi on TikTok says revenue is gross, profit is net. Thank you. Second winner is Maan. Maan with the face mask on TikTok. And her answer is revenue is also, again, your sales, your income. Profit is your sales minus your expenses. So thank you. Okay. If you ever win, if you have won the tickets, please send us a message on please give us a private message and we'll give you instructions on how you can claim your prize. Okay, coolness. All good. Let's continue. I think we can answer three more questions before I'm sure a lot of you guys are starting to see me as a chicken joy because it's time for lunch. So you guys are going to be hungry soon. Let's cap this off with three more questions to ask. Okay, Joe is asking again. You know, I feel guilty every time I have to answer this question. Joe says, when will you upload more podcast episodes on Spotify? It's going to happen in August or September. I'm sorry, it's going to be delayed because we got other things to do. We're also dependent on sponsorships from our clients, and a client is going to be paying for the entire production. So we are dependent also on their schedule as well. Okay. I hope you will. Now, if it's your first time to see us on TikTok or on Facebook, for example, and you haven't caught us yet on Spotify, please catch us. Our podcast about business, career management, confidence building, all these things is entitled From Grit to Great. And this is co hosted by my brother, Jed. And we talked about everything under the sun about building success for your career. Okay. Third to the last question. Let's answer this. Okay, this was a question on YouTube. Okay, question on YouTube. This question is from Marites. Okay. Marites, I'm just curious. How do you feel that people have changed the perception about the word Marites? I feel bad, no? Sometimes like, sorry, I'm just gonna digress. You know, names like Karen or Marites, I can just imagine how sometimes people make fun of them, and I feel bad when they do because I think the whole internet has just label them that they happen to be instantly bad people. I can also imagine how parents are gonna avoid now naming their children as Karen or Chad. You know, Chad also has been ridiculed a lot on the internet, or Brad also, and Marites. Lalang, just saying. Okay. Ooh, I like this. Okay. Igme on TikTok is asking this question. How do you find the courage to leave a company you're staying with for 10 years out of loyalty? Number one, you don't need courage only. What I think you need is love for yourself. And I know that sounds cheesy, but when I say love for yourself, you don't work because you want to please and make a company bigger alone. You work because you want the best things for yourself. You want the best things for your family. So quit if you must, because it's going to be what's best for you. If it's looking for greener pastures, and that involves what? Higher salary, more exciting challenges and projects, perhaps the lure of getting into international trips because your new business or your new company can give you that. Why are you depriving yourselves of this? Your company is going to be there. It's going to be solid. It's going to be strong for more than decades or years or generations. You're just one person. And this is you not being selfish. Selfish is different from self care. Can I get an exclamation mark? If we can all agree to that. You're not being selfish. You're caring for yourself. No one will take good care of your career but you. So do not feel guilty if you are leaving your company. As long as you did not commit any crime, as long as you're not hurting anyone, it's totally okay to leave because you're doing this for yourself. Remember, anyone is dispensable. You can always be replaced by technology. You can always be replaced by one person who happens to be better than you. You should say the same thing for your company. Okay? So you don't need courage. You need self love. You need to erase the mindset that you're being selfish. Uh, okay. Jason is asking this question. Uh, what are your thoughts about job hopping? Like having no plans to stay in one company? What are the pros and cons? Number one, remember that quitting a job, which is a subset of your job hopping, quitting your job is not always a bad thing if it's going to be what's best for you. As long as you have diligently turned over the documents, as long as you have properly closed your projects before you leave, you should leave if it's what's best for you. Now, job hopping, as you may all know, technically means that you spend only 1 year, 2 years, or perhaps up to 3 years, and you move on to another organization. I don't see anything wrong about that because if you're really a good, talented employee and a lot of companies want you, why should you deprive yourself of that? In fact, here's an interesting study. A study conducted in Malaysia and Singapore says that if an employee has been job hopping for every 3 to 4 years, meaning if they look at your resume and they've noticed that you only spent 2 to 3 or 4 years, but all the companies that you have moved on to are amazing, reputable companies, it's not even a minus point. It's a plus point. Why? It is an indication that you are so damn good that a lot of prestigious organizations want you so much. What does that mean now from a recruiter or from a manager's perspective? That I will still take my chance getting you. And so my challenge is, because you likely are going to hop from one place to another, I have to find a way to make you stay. That means managing your compensation, giving you exciting projects, giving you a good experience in the company. So it's a two-way street. I don't like it when HR recruiters and managers complain that their employees keep on leaving so early, when in fact it's an offshoot of supply and demand. The reason why a lot of people keep on moving from one place to another is because someone happens to be offering something that's better. Can you blame people for that? The cost of living is increasing ridiculously. In my area where I live, if I go out for lunch, I have to eat for 500 pesos or 400 pesos per plate. For that reason alone, I think I should deserve to also have a higher standard of what I earn. Okay? So job hopping is not because a person, don't get me wrong again, there are really going to be individuals who keep on job hop because they easily give up and they don't have any patience. I'm going to call out that there is such a thing as bad job hopping. Bad job hopping meaning you don't give the company a chance, you easily get bored, pinagalitan ka lang, feeling mo agad, dapat umalis ka na, for example. I think that's very immature. There are going to be people who do that, and that is not the type of job hopping I want you to do. Okay? So this is not just about pro job hopping, it's also about job hopping the smart way and also the responsible way. Now, are there certain traditional recruiters who will keep on saying na, ooh, in his resume, every 2 to 3 years lang siya lagi. Does this mean that I should not take the risk? Yes. There are going to be conservative recruiters out there. So be very mindful of them. It's going to lessen your chance to be inquired for a job interview. They do exist. This is why, again, I'm going to go back to my same tip. You have to spread applications to as many companies as you can. Because you never know what the recruitment philosophy of this organization is. More raffle entries, higher chances of winning. Okay. 𝗧cie on TikTok says this. Any advice for certain employees who fear of being redundated due to economic circumstances? I've had many friends who message me every day. John, I work for Meta, the mother company of Facebook, and Meta has been on 3 rounds of layoffs these days. So have a mindset, and I keep on telling them, do not wait for you to be laid off. And that's the only time that you create a LinkedIn account or you float your CV. If you are concerned that there is a high chance in your industry that you might just be laid off, start moving now. Revise your resume, modify your CVs, check your LinkedIn status, change all of these things, start submitting your resumes, even if you do not have any plans of moving in yet. Why is this so? Guys, it takes months these days to get a new job. It's not weeks. If you're working in the BPO industry, fine. Maybe you can get a new job in 2 days or 5 days. That's again because that industry is a totally different animal. The turnover is very high, and so the replacement is also going to be very high. But if you work in other industries involving marketing, sales, engineering, IT, it's not that going to be easy in today's competitive world. And remember, if you happen to be in the Philippines, you are competing against millions and millions of applicants. You're not working in Belgium, where the number of people is smaller than Quezon City. So the competition is not going to be as tough. The bigger your population in your country or city is, the tougher the application is going to be also. Okay? So start floating it now. Now, what do you say with, but what if someone asks me for a job interview and I'm not ready to move on? Then just decline. That's fine. And say that I am not ready for now because I have taken up on a different offer. They will keep your CV in a different database. That's fine. That's better. It's better to being asked for interviews than not getting any interviews at all, especially when you already need to have that job interview. So preparation is the key. Okay? Parang ano lang yan, parang field trip lang yan. When you go to a field trip or when you go to a trip or any travel situation, you bring water and you bring your food. You know that you might not be eating or drinking because you don't need it, but it's better to bring it with you versus regretting that you're going to be thirsty at some point and how you wish that you brought water with you. Okay? Do not apply for a job only when you have resigned. Okay. By the way, can I just add this? Because I think this is a very, I only learned this from some comments from people. I just discovered that there are certain people who think that they should only tender their resignation after they have signed on to a contract with another employer. Not true. Team, can I just call this out? You should be signing first a contract with a new company before you resign. That for me is the ideal way. Why is that? If you resign from your current company and you tell yourself, "Ooh, I should resign now because I think that job interview went well." The recruiter said that they will take me in, but you don't have any contract. You don't have any documentation. You've left your current job, and 2 weeks later, the recruiter will tell you, "John, sorry, the job has been canceled. We don't need you anymore." Ikaw talo. You're the one who has lost the opportunity. So before you quit your current job, if you happen to be moving to another company, sign a contract with that new company so that if ever something goes wrong, you have something to hold on to if you need to file a lawsuit, if you need to call them out for breach of contract, if you need to complain about the wrongdoings that they've done to you. Okay? Sandra Alejandrino in Facebook is asking, sorry, on LinkedIn is asking, does having a degree matter in leadership roles? I think that having a degree is important. It can be advantageous because it's not just about finishing a course, it's about proving that you were able to have the discipline to finish a 4 year or 3 year course. Now, I've also said this many times. Is it normal these days that some companies no longer consider a college degree as a requisite to finding a job? And the answer is yes. Meta, Airbnb, Twitter, most of these companies, and these are one of the biggest companies in the world, don't even require college degrees anymore. What they're looking for is experience. The same thing also happens for leadership roles. I don't care if you've finished PhD and MBA. If you don't know how to lead people because you simply suck, because you have a bad personality, you're not going to be a good leader. And leadership usually becomes better when you have exposure and experience. You've made a lot of mistakes. You've regretted a lot of things managing people in the past, which converted you to become a better leader later. So maybe a degree can give you the advantage, but it does not guarantee for you to take on a leadership role. Okay, let me backtrack to another question asked by Facebook by Gray. John, you said a while ago that you should be signing, you should only resign from a past company if you have signed on from a new contract with their new company. What if you have an existing contract with the other company? Well, that's your responsibility now. You have to check your contract. What do I mean? If your current employment contract states that you should only be able to resign with a 30-day rendering of service, that means when you talk to your new company, you have to tell them, "Ooh, by the way, my current company obligates me based on my contract that if I tender a resignation, I have to stay for 30 more days to do the transition and to do the turnover. Can my starting date in your new company be 30 days or 45 days from now?" You have to negotiate that. Okay. I'm also going to share with you something that doesn't happen all the time, but can possibly happen to you. So I have a friend who works for a pharma company and she signed a new contract with another pharma company. Unfortunately, the HR who interviewed her is best friend with one of the employees in her current company. And her current company found out that she signed on to the to the new contract. There's nothing illegal about that, but because they are both pharmaceutical companies, they are direct competitors. The HR decided that even if she doesn't need to tender 30 days, she has to be let go. Why is that? Because her loyalties are now with the new company. She might be divulging confidential information. So on the day that they found out, she was escorted out of the office. Okay? Not in a bad way, very amicable. They were still very friendly, but they just have to follow protocols. Because technically, you're now an employee and a representative of the other company who are direct competitors. So be very mindful of that. Okay, especially if you're working for direct competitors. I've mentioned this 2 days ago. In your contracts, there are certain clauses called the non-compete clause. The non-compete clause states that you should not, and it's optional. For some companies, add this, some companies don't. Some companies require you not to work and avoid applying for positions in companies that are their direct competitors. So if you're working for Smart or PLDT, sometimes check their contract if you happen to be working, because you will not be allowed to immediately apply for Globe or for Dito or for any telco company in the Philippines, because you might be sharing confidential information right after you quit. They will give you a timeline of you can only apply again after 1 year or 2 years. Is it illegal? It is not if you signed onto that contract, because it is a consensual agreement. Sabrina Dar Santos on YouTube is asking, what's your take on the initial interview or forms that ask for your current salary? My tip is not to give the exact amount. My tip is to give them a range. So if your salary is 52,000 pesos, tell them that your salary is 50 to 70,000 pesos. You put some allowance so that that is going to be, if ever they do, the allowance for the potential salary that they will grant to you. Here's my disappointment. I am not a believer that you should be awarding a salary based on the past payslip of the employee. You shouldn't. Why? If you're taking in someone new from a different company, you should be rewarding them that they are bringing in new set of expertise, new set of networks. They're bringing in a fresher perspective, a fresher set of eyes. Therefore, they are very valuable. And this is why likely people get a 10 to 15% increase in their salary, and sometimes 20 to 30% increase in their salary uh, for that attribute, for those attributes. Okay? Is it illegal for a company to ask for your payslip? Technically, no, again. And the reason for that is because if you give your payslip, that's a consensual agreement. So, my suggestion if someone asks for your payslip is to tell them instead, I'm sorry, my current company does not allow me, for confidentiality purposes, to reveal the payslip. However, I'll be very happy to share with you my range. It's 50 to 80,000 pesos. Okay? Oh, I like this question. Edward Pablo, I tried 3 times for a company. Ang feedback sa akin in the last interview is that I am coming too strong. Okay, Edward, two things. And again, I'm coming from a certain bias here. So please do not take my advice as the only piece of advice that's valid. Okay? I am a believer that you should not change your identity and you should not change who you are as a person if that identity of yours is the reason why you think you are excelling in your life. Okay? Of course, I'm not talking about being a bad person. If people call you out and say that you're bad because you have very harsh words, you're speaking of hurtful words, I think you should improve on that part. But if being too strong simply means you're very vocal, you're very outspoken, you're very passionate when you speak, just like me. And if someone tells me that I come too strong for them, why should I change for you? That means it's not a match. That means I'm not meant for your organization, because your organization is not going to celebrate people like me. So why should I be investing my time on you? Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate with me? Okay? There are thousands of other companies out there. What you need to do is to look for other organizations who are going to celebrate people like you. Invest in organizations, invest in companies that want you. Okay? Guys, parang ano lang yan. Parang romantic relationships lang yan. Bakit mo pagpipilitan ang sarili mo to a person who does not like you and who wants to change you because they want you to fit into a certain mold? The happiness is going to be short run, but it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. And remember, 3 times, you've attempted 3 times. There must be something so amazing about this company that you want to work for them. I want you to change your mindset that maybe you haven't been exposed yet to other companies out there who can treat you like a rock star. O, babalik ako because my friends and I were talking a few days ago about relationships because one of my friends just broke up with someone. And then sabi ko sa kanya, the reason why you're so obsessed about person X is because you think that this is the only type of person that you have to be in a relationship with. Meron kasi siyang certain type. So my friend has this certain type of guy. So she likes guys who, with tattoos. She likes them like with a bad boy appeal. And I keep on telling her, I understand why there's an appeal for you like that. But have you ever considered that there are other archetypes of males? And that you should also expose yourself because sometimes the only way for you to discover the things that you like is when you finally tasted the things that you don't like. This is the type of person that doesn't like you back. And it's time for you to realize that maybe the reason why you're not succeeding in your past relationships, she's had 4 types of boyfriends like this, is because they're not the types of people who should work out well for you. So ayun, naglasingan kami. But it's the same thing also for relationships, right? And also for applying for jobs. Oh, okay. I like this question. Oy, kayo ha. I'm extending for 30 minutes na ha, but only because I'm liking the discussion. But let me answer this question. Type here to search. I love this question. Sir, what can you say about introverts working in a loud team? Should they be the one to adjust or should they be the one to adopt? Okay, there are 2 ways of answering this. Number 1, if they are the ones dominating the team, somehow you have to speak up because that is how they speak to each other. So somehow there's a level of adjustment here. But number 2, introverts have certain strengths and you need to leverage on that strength. An example of that is when extroverts need to face a decision, they immediately share what the decision is. So what is your job as the introvert? Your job is to tell them, wait a minute, don't rush, don't be animated, don't be too emotional. Before we decide on this, can I first ask the few questions? Question 1, 2, and 3. If we have answered all 3 of them, then it's right to make a decision. Introverts do introspection before they speak up. So that's your strength. Capitalize on it. Okay? Try to be that team member who's going to call out what's missing because all of them are extroverts. Okay? Another example, introverts do not want to speak out loud and neither do they want to express themselves verbally. Some introverts prefer to document, to write instead. So if your strength is into documentation, one of your contribution in the team is to make sure that all agreements are properly documented or expressed in writing because most extroverts, they keep on speaking and blabbing and they tend to forget what they have said. Can I have an exclamation mark if you can relate to that? So if you want to be the contributor in the team, you might want to go for the gaps and spaces that they're not good at. And if you're able to do so, they'll be able to appreciate that even if you are different from them, you are an important pillar in the team also. Okay? Okay. Gladiators and suits. We've been speaking too long now. Okay? We're going to go online. I think I can go online tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll do that in the morning or I think I'll go online Sunday evening instead at 9 o'clock. I hope that's okay with you guys. Let's do that. Thank you again. I keep on saying this. I think the speaker is only as good if his audience is also an amazing audience. This is an intellectual banter. I can only be good if you give me good questions. So thank you, because so far, I mean, we've been doing this for like what, 5 years now, without TikTok, of course, because we've only done that recently. But this set has an amazing bunch of questions. So thank you, because nabusog ako with all of your questions. Okay. I wish you the best. If you'd like to get copies of our best-selling books, you can go to National Bookstore. They're all there for you. So, for example, our latest book, which is Everything Will Be All Right, is available also in Lazada and Shopee. We have 4 books so far. When I say certified bestseller, it's not because I say it so. It's because it's certified by National Bookstore itself based on the number of copies sold. If you'd like to join our workshops, you can go to our website, 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀.com. And all of our workshops are happening on June 21 and June 24 at the SMX Convention Center in Fort BGC. If you'd like to attend, ticket is worth $1,299. We'd love you to be there. In the next session, we're going to give away free tickets again. So if you're running out of budget and would like to get free tickets, join our competition, our contest soon. Okay? Thank you. Could you please give us a last batch of likes and hearts, just to confirm and to validate if you have learned something from today? If not learned, at least be inspired or had an aha moment about how you see things. If I hear and see that would make me the happiest person in the world, because that's the very reason why we do this out of our busy schedule. Okay, thank you. And last, if you'd like, kung nabitin kayo, if it's your first time to listen to us and you say, hey, I want to listen more, you can catch us on Spotify. From Grit to Great, Jonathan Yabut is our podcast. We talk about career management, leadership, and the like. Okay, thank you guys. See you. I'll try to be online 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Sunday. Salamat. Have a great weekend.